How's it going, everybody? It's your boy Jose, aka the YC Geek, aka TNG, aka your Elden Lord returned, aka the one who will sit the throne this day, aka the guy who is back from TwitchCon 2022. It was such a good time. I met so many incredible people, hung out with friends, drank a ton, sung a lot of karaoke, got to cosplay. It was a much needed break and a lot better of a convention than I thought it was going to be. The convention itself, I mean, not hanging out with friends. I knew that was going to be awesome. But I'm back. I know that I have missed a few things. So I wanted to start off this week strong. I wanted to start it off right. I wanted to start off with the best thing on television right now, and that's with some House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon, episode 8. And I'm going to start this review by stating this. Every episode of this show, I am astounded. I have moved the goalposts at least 3 times in just season 1 to what my favorite episode is. Only for yet another fantastic episode to come out. I'm gonna go, well, okay, I guess this is my new favorite episode because it just continues to get better and better. Well, I'm gonna say this. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think the goalpost will move further because not once in Game of Thrones was I moved to tears, not once, not twice, but 3 times in a single episode. I mean, I was just rewatching it. We're going to go through it. We'll go through it again. I was just rewatching it earlier and I just started to ugly cry. I just couldn't stop. This episode to me is not only a masterpiece, it is my favorite piece of work in any Westeros related show, any fantasy show. It resonated so much for me. And we're going to break it down. And I can't promise that I won't get moved to tears if I start to choke up, I'm going to have to like pause or something. So I do apologize. But we pick up from what had already been an amazing episode 7. That was the Driftmark with the funeral of Laena Velaryon and the explosive aftermath of Aemon claiming Vhagar, the dragon, for himself, that large dragon that was Laena's dragon after he had bonded to it, and Crown Princess Rhaenyra marrying her uncle, Daemon Targaryen. That happened episode 7. It has now been 6 years since that crucial day. And once again, the events of this episode revolve around House Velaryon and the issue of its succession. The 8th episode is titled The Lord of the Tides. And it's all about who is going to be inheriting the house, who's going to be inherit the Driftmark and become the leader of House Velaryon. Because remember, House Velaryon is easily the second strongest house there after House Targaryen. They control the most powerful navy. They control they have their own dragons. They control vital shipping routes. And for Alicent and her forces, it is pivotal to drive a wedge in that and seize that from Rhaenyra, because right now Rhaenyra is poised to control not only the ruling house, but the most powerful house right after it, the skies and the seas. So that's big, and she wants to stop that. So we start right here with it starts off with, it's been a telling of time, 6 years. Now let me turn down the volume because I am going to occasionally play it just so that it goes, and I don't want YouTube to slap me around. But it's been 6 years since Lady Rhaenys has seen her husband. Okay, House Velaryon has been involved in another war in the stepstones. Now I wanted to hold on. Let me briefly show y'all, because some people may not know what the stepstones are. But I have a little map that I brought here so you guys can see this. Okay, so the stepstones are this. Okay, this is Dorne. This is Dorne, and this is called the Disputed Lands, right? So this is Essos, this is Westeros. King's Landing is up where, there it is. King's Landing is over here, right? So control of this area is vital. It's very vital. And this is where we saw the crab feeder. Like, they were rising up here, and there's been a war here, and once again, it has come back to war. There's always problems in the stepstones. There's always problems because of how vital that spot is. And oops, I'm sorry, I gotta put this. So and that's why the season has put so much focus on that, because major sea lanes pass through that. There's so much chaos. It's a lawless region that's often contested, not just by the free cities, but by the free cities on Essos, but also pirates, and obviously Westeros has its own interest in that region because the trade routes are crucial. So unfortunately for House Valerian, Corlys has been at war with like these hostile forces there, and he suffered like this grievous injury, and they want to discuss what may happen if he passes, if unfortunately if he doesn't survive his injury. Now, I will say I would have liked for this to be shown to us on screen. I would have been a bigger fan if they had shown us, like, maybe Valerian, like Corlys, maybe like he's fighting and he gets hurt and we get to see that. So this is a little bit of telling, not showing. And I understand it's necessary to keep the pace going. I just would have liked to see maybe a few minutes of Corlys being ambushed, or just the ships fighting, and then it cutting to black and getting us Lady Rhaenys mentioning that time has passed, and that, like, it's been 6 years since she's seen her husband in this crazy war. But it's okay. I can forgive that. That's nothing that dire. And we do get to cut to this. Let me just go back to the thing. But eventually the excuse me. Eventually she says, like his brother, Corlys's brother, is like, hey, like, what the hell? My brother's passing, and I'm just saying maybe it should be me that should inherit the throne. And she's like, dude, like, no, he wanted it to go to Lucerys. And we saw that in the funeral. That's another great thing, is that it's all leading, it's all, you could go back to these previous episodes, they all tie together. And she's telling him Lucerys was the designated heir. Remember, even last episode, she tried to convince Corlys to pass it through Laena's line. And he was like, no, it's all about history. It's all about the history books. It's all about the names. And Vaemond is having the same mindset that she had a while back, but now it's not. He doesn't want it to go to Laena's kids. He wants it to go to him. He wants to keep, and he makes it clear, he doesn't give a fuck that Corlys clearly intended for Lucerys to inherit the house. He wants the house. He thinks, and at this point, I do think that it is a legitimate concern for him. Okay, he brings up obviously the valid point that Rhaenyra's children are obviously House Strong's bastards, and he wants to keep the family line going. And he says it right here. Like, he says, is it to be snuffed out and supplanted by the pups of House Strong? He wants his family line to continue. But Rhaenys stays loyal to her husband's wishes, even though Vaemond tells her that he doesn't necessarily need her support. He's like, look, I can make this argument myself. I don't need you. Like, I want your support. I would want you to stand beside me. But he tells her, he's like, it's not a king who sits on the throne anymore, which is very treasonous to, like, even kind of talk like that. He's like, it's not a king who sits the Iron Throne these days, good sister. It's the Hand and the Queen. And there is a point where I do think that, obviously, I get what he's saying. We know that he's right. We know he's right. We know that the strong boys are bastards. But there is a point later on when it's no longer Vaemond doing this about family or blood. It becomes more about ambition and his own pride. That's what it boils down to. Then we skip forward a little bit and we move to the Dragonstone, where Rhaenyra and Daemon now live. And Daemon has found some eggs from Syrax's clutch, 3. He's found, which is important because not all eggs, not all dragon eggs are guaranteed to hatch. Like it's not a guarantee. So the more you have, obviously, the better odds that you get. And then he gives the eggs to the dragon keepers. He's like, yo, take care of these eggs and start, putting them in the warming chamber. And then he gets a letter from his granddaughter. Well, he gets a letter from his daughter, who is Bela. And I want to show you this little thing. I love, he gets a letter from Bela, who was the ward who was sitting next to Lady Rhaenys. Obviously, it's his ears over there. That's the young girl who was sitting next to, that's the young girl right here, who's sitting next to Prince. Oh my God, I can't keep my mouth steady. My goodness, there. That's Bela. So that's Laena's oldest daughter, okay? And she is serving as her ward. Kind of something kind of similar to what Theon Greyjoy was with Ned Stark. But, that was more of a conquest ward. This is more of like, look, we want our granddaughter. It's more of a sign of honor. Like, we want our granddaughter to be raised with you. Our daughter, we want our daughter to be raised with you, her grandmother, and for you to show her how it is to rule. So it's not like identical to House Stark taking Greyjoy, but she is a ward in that fashion. So anyway, so this is that scene, and then the Dragon Keepers gave Daemon a letter, okay? And I just want to show you guys this scene. I love this little note. Now I gotta pause it because YouTube is silly, but I love this. I love that the note that he gets, right? He reads it. He's gonna open it, and it's not just like I'm trying to see if I had something that I could show you. It's not like he takes a note and he takes it, and let's say my hands are the note, and you see the back of the note only, right? No, we get to see that there's actual writing on this note, and you can read it. You can actually read that they show us the actual writing in it. They could have just shown him reading it and then moved on to Daemon just telling Rhaenyra, but they put these little touches, these little extra bits, and I like that. That, to me, I'm a big fan of it. And it even says there, Father, I write with news of Uncle Vaemond, who this moment sails to, and I'm terrible at reading pensive, I apologize, sails to King's Landing. He is blah, 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 the king in the matters of succession rights and the sanctity of blood. See? So it's not just rights, succession rights and the sanctity of blood. He wishes for and I'm guessing this is Driftwood throne, to pass to him that is his by rights, and that he is the only unattainted voice. Big accusations there that he is levying. And it's just, but like I said, it's so nice to see that small little bit of, just world building, I guess, to see handwriting, to see not an empty note and the sort. And then we go into the Dragonstone Keep. And Rhaenyra is here with her eldest son, Jacaerys, or Jace. And he's trying to learn history. He wants to learn High Valyrian. He's trying to learn the language, right? And he's having a hard time, but he's understand. Like, the maester is talking to him, and he is translating back, and that's cool that we're getting to see again character building, progression, and all that stuff. And we get the impression here that Aegon he's genuinely cares, like right here. He genuinely cares about honoring the traditions of his forebears. Like, he's constantly practicing, or we're getting that impression that he is constantly impressed and wants to learn, because his mother tells him, she's like, I don't expect you to learn High Valyrian in a day, but he goes, a king should honor the traditions of his forebears. And we get the impression that he would be an educated king, that, obviously Rhaenyra is lined up to be queen, but it's a good sign that her son cares about those responsibilities, which is a huge stark contrast to fucking Aegon, the freaking Aegon and well, Alicent's oldest son to Aegon. And eventually Daemon comes and he gives her the letter, and he tells Rhaenyra about Vaemond's petition to question her second son, Lucerys, and his legitimacy, which she quickly spells out the domino effect that this would have on not just Luke, because once Lucerys's legitimacy is questioned, it topples everything over. It topples Jacaerys's claim to the throne after her, and by extension, if they're like, oh well, your children are bastards, it topples her claim to the throne as well. And Rhaenyra is shrewd, and I love that this show, like I just said, character building, right? I love that this show built that from episode 1. They built that from episode 1. That's why her father had her as his cupbearer in the small council, so that she could listen to the politics, so she could understand the machinations of the great houses. That's why. And I remember some people being mad, like, oh, are you kidding me that that she had that role? Like, oh, she's being subservient to men. And I'm like, dude, are you out of your fucking mind? It's extremely vital and a great honor for her to have it, to have had that. And it pays off here. It's paid off all season because the Game of Thrones is a chess game, and her being the cupbearer, listening to the politics, how things are answered and the sort. Her father prepared her for that. He prepared her for that. And Daemon and her are like discussing like what their moves are. What can they play at? Is Lady Rhaenys gonna support Vaemond? Is he going to just is she going to support Vaemond? Is she going to support Rhaenyra's son? Because at this point, Lady Rhaenys thinks that Rhaenyra killed Laenor. She thinks that Daemon and Rhaenyra are responsible for having Laenor killed so that they can get married. But at the same time, she does love her grandchildren that are from Daemon and Laena. So she's a neutral piece. She's a very neutral piece, an important one. And Rhaenyra and Daemon have no choice but to sail to King's Landing to try to address this fight. And look at these models, man. Look at this set piece right here. Look at this. This is so fucking cool. Look at King's Landing. It looks so good. It looks so good. And it looks like this looks like a proper ship instead of those garbage Rings of Power Numenorian ships. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that model. Oh my God. Like if I had the room, I would legit have like pieces like that, like just little structures of some of the greatest settings. Like I would love to have this. I'd love to have like Minas Tirith. Just beautiful. And this is their arrival, right? This is Rhaenyra and Daemon's arrival. And there is a slight here. There is a slight against them. Okay, now I want you to see. Wait, let me just rewind it a little bit. So the doors, this guy comes to greet them. She arrives at King's Landing. Now, Rhaenyra is not some trifle lordling coming from where the bumblefuck. She is the crown princess. She is King Viserys' only child and his living heir. And yet they greet her with some like fucking pleb lord or something like that. Like, here he comes. And it's just, and look, it's almost like they have them. I mean, I don't know the layout of King's Landing, right? But this to me does not feel like where you would receive the crown princess. This kind of feels like the lowly stables that just everybody would be at. So then when the doors open, it's this lord who receives them. And you see that? You see that right there? This is such fucking good acting right there. Did you see her face and his like Eamon says, let me tell you, Matt Smith says a million words. He could have this glance there and he says it, but her face in particular, I want to go back. When he shows up, look at Rhaenyra's first right here, right? And then look at this. That subtle like, what the fuck? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm being greeted by some random dude? Like, it's just, it's so well done. It's so well done. And then I want to skip to this because she goes inside the Red Keep and she says, you know, I would say it's nice to be home, but I scarcely recognize it. And that's because it's been years. It's been years. She should have been greeted by the queen, by the way. Minimum. She should have been greeted by the queen. If not, fucking bring a bunch of people. Or at the very, no. He should have been greeted by at least a hand. At least a hand should have come to greet her. And she notices the changes because they've started removing Targaryen heraldry and statues, and they're starting to add these 7-pointed stars everywhere. And that's because throughout the entire season, we've seen also, again, consistent character that Alicent is very loyal to the Faith of the Seven. Very loyal. It's one of the things that makes her dangerous because she is not just approaching this as duty. She's not just approaching this from a point of, oh, you know, my kids are the rightful heirs, and her, or that, you know, you have an older son, you have a son rather, so that my son should take over. She's not just viewing it through the logistics of it all, right? She's viewing it through a religious point as well. In her mind, she is faithful and just, and Rhaenyra is wicked and corrupt. So it's what makes Alicent so dangerous. And we get to this scene here where they show a meeting of the small council, and look at who is sitting on the seat that was previously occupied by King Viserys. It's Queen Alicent. She is there, and he's trying to give it my man's trying to give her some fucking advice, and she said, "Bro, you put me to sleep. You give me the nap times." But now we see the council again. We see the council. We have the head chief Grand Maester. I guess the Grand Maester is the line for it. I was gonna say head Maester or Chief Maester, but it's the Grand Maester. We have the hand. I'm guessing he's like the Master of Coin, maybe. I don't know what role. Well, I think who used to sit here? Valerian Corlys. So maybe he's Master of Ships. I don't know what. Maybe he's the commander of the Night's Watch. The Night's Watch. What the fuck am I talking about? The Gold Cloaks. He might be commander of the Gold Cloaks. This might be the Grand Maester. This is probably Master of Coin. He could also be Master of Laws. I'm not sure. Maybe he's Master of Laws. So he could be one or the other. I just said that because this is where I remember Daemon sitting, but it actually makes more sense that he would probably be Master of Laws. So yeah, and still we don't have a like a spy master just yet. But this is what Vaemond said. This is what he said earlier. It is the queen and the hand that are ruling the realm. They are ruling the realm, and this scene is discussing Lucerys's claim. They're talking about it, and they're saying that and there are some on the council, like Lord Beesbury, that does argue, the guy who's given the boring report, that Lord Corlys clearly stated he wanted his grandson to inherit it, while the majority of them are arguing that it's probably not best for the realm. And they skirt it carefully. They do skirt it carefully. They don't just say, well, it's not good for the realm because he's a fucking bastard. No. They're like, well, he's never been at the Driftmark throne. He's never been on the Driftwood throne. He doesn't know anything about ships, of leading a fleet. But Lord Beesbury's like, dude, ability does not alter claim. And it's true in Westeros. This isn't a a meritocracy. It's you know, it's a monarchy and a feudal system, and they're like, no, dude, like it's the guy declared who he wants to be his heir. That's who's going to be the heir. And again, it's a delicate situation, and the core of this episode is the legitimacy of Lucerys and who will sit upon the throne, the Driftwood throne. Now, this scene right here is where this is just goes to show again a little bit of just how much of a piece of shit Alicent is, right? Well, let me just bring it up. She gets told by one of the she's heading over to greet Daemon and Rhaenyra. And this Kingsguard, Sir Eric, I can't remember. Fuck, that's fucked up. I'll show you why it's fucked up, because just a few seconds in, like, this guy's like, hey, a matter has risen. And she's like, whatever it is, Sir Eric, it'll need to wait. And he's like, I'm Eric. And I'm sorry, I fucked up. I'm sorry, Sir Eric. I didn't mean that. But he's like, dude, something happened. There's something that happened with the prince, with Prince Aegon, who's a piece of shit. And I'm gonna touch on later on Alicent's sanctimonious hypocrisy. Okay, because there is a lot of hypocrisy there. Now, we get to see, oh, my man still has his Lego pieces, bro. Let me tell you, I've never seen someone so dedicated to his Lego set. I love King Viserys, man. But we see Rhaenyra is going to reunite with her father. And it's hard. It's hard for her to see him like this. It's rough for her to see her father in this shape. Worn down, blind, just missing limbs. And this whole episode is rough because, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean rough like this is rough bad. I mean rough and like emotionally, you know? Because if you've ever had to deal with seeing a loved one waste away to some disease or to some mental problem, it's so fucking brutal, right? And it's rough even for Daemon. It's rough even for Daemon. You know, you can see him looking at his brother, like he's looking at him. Like it, you see that? Like it's hard for and Daemon, let me tell you, Daemon is a fucking hardened fighter. Daemon's not some pleb. He has been in battle constantly. He has killed people, and yet it is difficult for him to come in and look around and see what his brother, how far his brother has fallen. You know, it, and I can only describe it to people like to see your loved ones, to see them become a husk of what they were, a shell of who they were, just being in that constant pain. I don't wish that on anybody. I don't wish that on anybody. I'm a mean motherfucker, right? Like I'm a mean son of a bitch. Like when something bad, like for example, when a TV show like Rings of Power doesn't do well, and or even a better example, okay? When Game of Thrones, when the latter seasons were ruined by David and Dan Benioff, I was happy to hear these motherfuckers are not getting any other work. Like, I like that. I'm glad, because you shouldn't continue to fucking reward shitheads, right? You shouldn't reward assholes like that. But I would never wish on anybody on earth, for them to have to witness what Rhaenyra is dealing with here. I wouldn't wish that on my greatest enemy. I wouldn't, because I've had to deal with that. My wife has had to deal with it, and it's fucking, it rips at your soul in a way that you get to see it later on. Here you do get to see it later on, and worse, it's like he's hopped up on milk of the poppy, so he's like his senses are not all there either. And we have a sweet little moment where like Daemon tells him, like, there's a petition, you know, he's like trying to tell him, like, look, you know, we need you to tell them, like, you are firm on Lucerys being the heir, but even Rhaenyra, like he's trying to keep it to keep Viserys here, but she sees that he is not there. Like you see, as she grabs his hand, like it's no good. Leave him alone. It's no good. Leave him alone. I want to show him. And then she brings in his new grandchildren, and 2 grandchildren that he hasn't met yet, because now she has 5 kids. She's got 5 kids. She's got Jacaerys. She's got Jacaerys, Lucerys, Joffrey. She has another one called Aegon, and this is Viserys, and she named it after him. And he's just so fucking happy. He's so fucking happy just to hear that. And he's like, that's a name fit for a king. It's just a fucking, let me tell you, this actor, Paddy Constantine, is the fucking beast. He fucking kills it, man, because oh my God. He's just so great. But the pain starts to get too much to him. And Daemon gives him this tea, right? He gives him this tea. Well, before we get to that scene, he gives him this tea, and Daemon's like, wait a minute. He's like, that don't look like no tea I've ever smelled. And he notices it. They're keeping him constantly drugged. His senses are always clouded. He can fucking barely remember things. It's just, he's constantly being fed milk of the poppy. So even if like the pain, because the pain is a lot. I can understand that they're giving it to keep the pain, dulled. But even if he had been willing to rule even from his bedside, he can't. They made sure that physically he can't, and they're making sure that mentally he can't either. But before we could get to, this, he noticed, we go to this arrogant Queen Alicent. We go to deal with the issue in the Prince's Quarter, okay? And this is one of his serving maids. This is one of the, I think she's like one of the kids' maids. And it's very clear, to put it bluntly, that he assaulted the maids. I'm not going to put it on scene. They don't show the scene. Obviously, I never would show something like that. But she describes it. He says that he attacked her from behind. She begged him to stop. And it's clear that Aegon is a fucking piece of shit, okay? He is the biggest piece of shit in this fucked up family. Hands down. Hands fucking down. This guy's a legit fucking scumbag. And, but Aegon is like, he's a lustful drunkard who would clearly be a menace if you put him on the fucking throne. He would clearly be a menace if you put him on the throne. And that's the part of Alicent that, for all her righteousness, for all this talk of honor and duty and what would be best for the realm, she's a piece of shit too for wanting Aegon to ascend to be Viserys' heir instead of Rhaenyra. Because what? Because Rhaenyra had some bastards, because she seduced Sir Criston Cole. Do you think that's as bad as your shit fucking son? So it's just, like, she ends up paying Deanna to keep her mouth shut, and then just switch to it. She gives her some moon tea. She's like, you better drink this tea because my son's probably an idiot and he probably knocked you up. So they're giving her the tea. And this lady's very important later. This is like her personal handmaid. This is her personal attendant. Okay? And it's like, Aegon's such a piece of shit that it's hard to be. I don't know. If you're team Alicent, if you're team Green, I don't know, man. It's hard. It's hard. I can't see being team Green. Like, I've been team Black since episode 1 because I love fucking Rhaenyra. But like that, like, this lady's just, but look, I also see where she's coming from and what she decides to do, right? Hold on. I'm not agreeing that I think her trying to put Aegon as a piece of shit, okay? There are some people who were upset with her defending defending Aegon, because she does like, or covering up for Aegon, because Aegon's grown up and he's just a dick. He's just a dick, okay? And they pick such a guy with such a punchable face. It's perfect. It's perfect. So Alicent pays Deanna and tells her, and covers it up. Covers up what her son did. And some people are upset that that's what she did. You people, they're like trying to, I'm trying to try to phrase this correctly. People want to put today's standards to a setting that was clearly set in a different fucking time. Okay? It's the same thing when people were mad about them offering a 12-year-old Lena to King Viserys back in like episode 2. Like in episode 2, I think it was. Like, this is a different time, guys. And Alicent, nobody in this fucking, let me tell you something, I'm pretty goddamn fucking sure. Nobody on fucking Twitter is an actual queen, okay? None of you rule a kingdom. I am pretty fucking sure, okay? So, she has to deal with a certain set of politics. If her son is found out to be a disgusting lech the way he is, it would destabilize her house. I'm not saying what she's doing is right. I'm not, because her son is a piece of shit. I think that she should fucking realize that and stop trying to put this scumbag on the throne. I'll agree with you. But I can understand her reasoning. I understand why she's doing it. There are some people who don't get that, who don't want to understand. You don't have to agree with it, but you just understand where they're coming from. And understand also, it's a fucking, like, calm down. Calm the fuck down. Some people are ready to like fucking boycott shit. It's like, god damn, man. Fucking sensitive motherfuckers out here. Anyway, she confronts her shit son. She slaps him in the face. She gives him that Cersei slap. Look at this little fucking shit. And he's married to his sister at this point. But to be fair, Aegon tells her, I didn't ask for this. Like, I didn't ask. Like, he's told her multiple times, I don't want to be king. I don't want to be king. And she just keeps fucking trying to force it. And he's even married. He's like, he goes, I've even tried to marry, like, rather, he's married to his sister, which this was the sister who's like, she's like, having those prophetic dreams. Like, she's an actual dreamer. And he's told her multiple times, like, come on, dude. Like, leave me the fuck alone. I don't want to be a king, but she will not deal with it. She will not deal with it. She doesn't want to. And she's like, you're going to be fucking king. At first, I thought of it as her trying to keep her children alive because she's scared that Rhaenyra, once Rhaenyra ascends to the throne, there'll always be a legitimate threat. At this point now, to me, it's just hubris. It's hubris and ambition. I'm not ambition for herself, but ambition for her children, and hubris because she wants to stop Rhaenyra. She views Rhaenyra, again, like I said, she views herself as just and Rhaenyra as corrupt, and she thinks it is her actual duty to stop Rhaenyra from ascending to the throne in any way, shape, or form. But eventually we make it, and that, like I said, she's a piece of shit for wanting Aegon to ascend to be Viserys' heir. So she ends up paying Deanna, and then we move up. We move to the training quarters, not training quarters, the training courtyard. And this is Aemond now. This is Aemond. He's grown. He's grown, and he has been putting years of fucking training into it. And I don't think, did I skip? Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped the scene. I am so sorry. I skipped the scene right here. Okay. I apologize for that. The shitstorm for Alicent doesn't stop there because she does eventually get to Rhaegar, and she does eventually to Rhaenyra, and she does eventually get to Daemon, and they're confronting her about it. They're like, hey, so like, what the fuck? You know, there's like, you know, like why are you removing our heraldry? Why are you like, well, you guys are real comfortable on the fucking throne while our dad, our brother is over here, you know, drugged up out of his mind. And excuse me, I had to cough there. And Daemon says it here. He's like, but tell me, for the king's suffering, did the Macers also prescribe the removal of Targaryen heraldry and the installation in its stead of various statues and stars? He's letting them, Daemon's letting them know, like, dude, we know what you guys are doing. We know what you high towers are doing. You want to supplant us, you want to get rid of us, and you want to put yourselves fucking throne. And you're doing it piece by piece. You're removing our statues, our heraldry, our stuff, and putting in your religious installations. And she tells him, she's like, look, she's like, you know what, she tells him, the Father is just and commands me to forget the accusations you've hurled in this room today. Like, and then she gives him this fucking smile. I fucking hate Alicent. Like, I liked her before, man, but what she's grown up to is just, she's just a piece of shit. Can't stand her. I can't stand her. So anyway, and she tells him straight up, she's like, yeah, it's gonna be me and my dad passing judgment on your ass. Okay? And then we see the strong boys making the way down to the training courtyard. And this is where we see Aemon and Sir Criston Cole. We're introduced. And look, he's dodging that flail. Nah, not today. You ain't hitting me with that. Boom. Gets in there. Scores the victory. He has been clearly training for war all these years. And that is the difference between, and again, like losing that eye, if losing that eye has not impaired him. And that's a key factor, is that Rhaenyra's children, Jace and Luke, are being taught to rule, okay? They're being taught, and that's not a bad thing. It's not. But the problem for her kids are that Alicent's children are being taught how to fight, how to conquer. At least Aemon is. And I don't know if Aegon's much of a fighter, but 6 years ago he was able to fight better than the strong boys were. So maybe he's kept up with his training. But clear, I don't think he's anywhere near Aemon's level of fighting, which is bad for Rhaenyra because he has the most powerful dragon, Vhagar, that massive beast from the fucking underworld, it feels like. And he also is a clearly skilled fighter. Like Sir Criston Cole is not a pleb. He is not a pleb. He is a competent fighter. He won a tourney. Now, I'd have to look back, but I remember in episode 1 when he won the tourney. He won the tourney not because he beat Daemon. Daemon beat Daemon. Okay? Daemon had him down on the ground. And instead of securing the victory, he turned around and started to grandstand to the crowd. And that's when Sir Criston Cole gets in there. If I'm remembering correctly, it's been 2 months since that. I'd have to rewatch, but I'm pretty sure it was that. But either way, that's not to downplay Sir Criston Cole's skills. And Aemon is already showing to be at least up there, you know. And they were not fighting with training weapons. They motherfucker was swinging at him with a real fucking mace and an actual sword. Like he hits him with that shit across the head. It's fucking over. So it just goes to show how much of a stronger fighter Aemon has become, that he is able to fight on par, or at least, if not on par, close to it with Sir Criston Cole. Because again, Criston Cole is a beast. Now, can he fight with Daemon? Because Daemon's a beast. Anyway, we go to another very, very crucial scene. This is a very crucial scene. And that is Rhaenyra meeting with Lady Rhaenys, okay? And she knows. Rhaenyra knows she's in a bad spot. She knows she has no chance, or very little chance to win this petition. And again, if Lucerys's claim is thrown into jeopardy, then so is Jacaerys' claim and then hers by extension. She needs all the support she can get. But the problem is that her great aunt, I don't know exactly know what, I mean, she's her dad's cousin. So what do you call that? Is there anything? I don't know. Anyway, she knows that Lady Rhaenys hates her, or at the least suspects that she had Rhaenyra and Daemon, that Rhaenyra and Daemon had her son Laenor killed. He doesn't know. He doesn't know that he's off on Essos with his boyfriend. He don't know that. And to Rhaenyra's credit, like, she doesn't come here empty-handed. She's like, I'm gonna make you an offer. She's like, I'm not just trying to appeal to your family sympathy or something like that. She's like, no. She goes, let's marry our children. He's like, back his claim and we will betroth Laena's children to mine. Rhaenyra knowing how much Lady Rhaenys loves and loved Laena and her children. She knows how big that is. And that's not, and again, like, she offers, it's not a small thing. It's not a matter of just like, look, just marry our kid. She is offering to make Laena's children the two most powerful women in the kingdom. Because Baela would be married to Jacaerys and be the queen and rule the seven kingdoms with him. Rhaena, which is there's a lot of fucking Rays up in here. Rhaenyra, Rhaenys, Rhaena. God damn. Rhaena would be married to Lucerys, and they would rule the Driftwood throne. They would rule. She said Baela will be the queen of the seven kingdoms, and her sons will be heirs to the throne. That's fucking massive for the eldest daughter. And Rhaena will rule in Driftmark. That's not a small claim here. A small offer. And even Lady Rhaenys says that is a generous offer or a desperate one. And she goes, what does it matter? Like, what does it matter? This will be good. This will be there could be no downside for you if you back me on this. But Rhaenys is like, dude, she doesn't see an out for Rhaenyra. He doesn't see an out. He tells her tomorrow the High Towers will land their first blow. They will force you to your knees and I will stand alone. Because she's like, she knows that the High Towers are not going to side in this. And so Rhaenys has to defend what she can on her own. It's fucked. I mean, it's a fucked up situation. It's a tough situation. And Rhaenyra knows, like I said, that she's alone in this. And she has Daemon in her side, but Daemon, she has Daemon in her side, but this fight is hers to fight alone. And it's very reminiscent of the funeral last episode, where in the funeral, she was standing by herself and she's alone and she's desperate and she knows that no one has her back. And to be honest, few people have ever had her back. Few people, because people wanted her to be removed as the heir years ago, even before she had kids. They were trying to remove her. At the moment that Viserys had Aegon, they were trying to get rid of her. And she goes to the one person who has always had her back, always. And that's her father. And she admits that when she was young, like, she wanted the crown. She wanted this. But she realizes, she knows how much her dad sacrificed to put her as the heir. And, she's not even on the throne yet, and the realm is divided. And she understands that, she hasn't made this journey easy for herself. But she pleads with him to please help her, to defend her, because she has no one left in her corner. No one. And she's such a good fucking actress, man. Everybody in this fucking show is great, man. God damn. Fucking no fucking lip quivers or tempest in me in this fucking in this show. That's for sure. But she realizes that like her dad can't, or she knows that as much as she wants, her dad can't help her anymore in this fight. She wants him to, but he just can't do it. He can't do it anymore. And it's fucking heart-rending, because then the next scene that we get is we get to see what it is that Viserys has to endure every day. Every day. Rebandaging. Probably every morning, and probably several times a day, honestly. Rebandaging. Poultices applied to his body. Wounds that have to be drained. Like, excuse me. And he is in a state of constant agony, and yet all he wants to have is supper. And Otto's like, bro, it's morning time. He's like, no, you dumb fuck. He tells him, he goes, for the first time in years, the whole of my family is here. He tells him, the whole of my family is here. And all I want is to eat with them. That's all he wants. It's just, that's all he's ever wanted. All Viserys has ever wanted is for his family to be happy. And something crucial happens here. Otto tries to offer him milk of the poppy, and he tells him no. He's like, no, get that shit out of here. He goes, just arrange a supper. And can we just talk about the amazing, later on, I want to highlight it again, but just this incredible makeup work right here, where they're just, look at the wounds on his back. It's a little hard because he's not in focus, but just, they have worked to make, look at that. Look at the pain that he's in. And they have worked so hard to make him appear like a walking corpse. Like he is just a corpse. And we get to the most crucial part of this episode. This is the key part of this episode right here. The petition. Look at this shot. And look at the hand. Look at him. He is now seated upon the throne. As hand, I speak with the king's voice on this matter. No, you fucking don't. But what are they going to say? What are they going to say? And this is the crux of it all. This is the most crucial part of this entire episode, because the petition for the Driftwood throne to be the Lord of Tides, and Vaemond has a strong petition. Does it come from ambition? Absolutely. Does it come from a desire to keep his bloodline going? Yes. At this point, yes. And I will say why. I will highlight later why I'm like at this point. And it's hard for Rhaenyra to counter, to argue anything other than the fact that like she tries to, but he's telling her like, I could show you the blood in my veins, Valyrian blood, and you wouldn't even recognize it. Like, he's just taking digs because he knows right now he's at a strong point. He's like, she has no counter punch. And look at her. She's so fucking glad. She's so happy about this. And they're all like, he's talking about how he is placed in the continuation of the survival of his house and his line above all. And Rhaenyra tries, she's like, if I am to grace this farce with some answer, I would like to remind everybody that nearly 20 years ago in this very court, like, hello, my, now she starts trying to make her argument. And I'm going to actually bring up the music for this. I am going to bring it up because to me, this is the most fucking badass scene, not just in this entire episode, but in this entire season. I don't give a fuck what comes next. Okay. I don't care what comes next, because when those Great Hall doors open and fucking King Viserys shows up, when he shows up, this is Hold on, I gotta make sure everything's. I want to make sure everything's right. Okay, I need y'all to hear this.
With some answer. I will
Okay,
start by reminding the court that
it's
20 years
it's quiet. It's quiet, and then those doors open. All right.
ago in this very
And King Viserys fucking walks in, struggling, suffering to get through, and everyone look at this scumbag Otto. Look at Otto starting to rise up because he's like, oh shit, oh shit. Everybody in this room is like, the fucking music starts to swell. They are shocked to see this man who has been bedridden for years making his way to the throne, making his way, suffering. Why? And why is he there? Why is he there? Because he's a loving father. Because when his daughter needed him the most, he musters all the strength he has left, everything that he has in him to make it out of bed and come here to back her up when she needs him the most. Like, you hear that music? This is one of the most awe-inspiring scenes I've seen in a long time. Okay? And to me, it's not just touching it. There's so many things that happen here. There's so many things that happen here because he glances at, and I have to, periodically stop here and there, but he glances at his cousin, to the Lady Rhaenys. He looks at her, and here is where she, to me, this is, I think, where she has made, and I want you to see where his eyes are, right there. It's not just forget the throne. Forget all this. It's her. She's been standing alone this whole time. They keep showing you her standing alone. And he's fucking making his way to her because when she needed him the most, that's when her dad fucking shows up. And he looks, I mean, just this music is just fucking phenomenal, man. It's just such this, and they show her. They show Lady Rhaenys, and she looks down. And I think that at this point, she realizes, like, shit is done. Like, he's up. He's over. Bye-bye, Vaemond. You ain't had a you don't have a chance anymore. You don't have a chance. And I'm going to put it here, and I want you to hear the music where it swells, okay? Because right here, when he moves forward, he looks to his cousin, right? He looks to his wife, and I'm going to stop it. You hear that music crescendoing, right? It's starting to rise up. And you see, oh man, Patty, what a fucking phenomenal actor. What a fucking actor. And he looks towards Rhaenyra now. He looks towards Rhaenyra, and look at how the music swells. Because he came all the way here for her. For her. For her. So this scene is hard, right? Because I know not everyone out there has a dad who would fight like this for them. I know that. I myself am lucky. Because mine has. I myself count myself as very fortunate because my dad has fought like this for me. And, and he still would. He still would. My dad would, dude, if I told my dad right now I needed him, he'd be there in a fucking heartbeat. He'd be there in a heartbeat. He's older now and he's frail. But it's so good to see in this show that they didn't butcher Viserys. Okay? They never presented him as like some stupid piece of shit example of toxic masculinity or some other crap that Hollywood will want to shove down our throats. He was a dad who loved his family. Is he perfect? No. No one's fucking perfect. No one's fucking perfect. Everybody makes their fucking mistakes. But he killed it. And this, first off, I've already started using this line constantly. I already used it at the beginning of this video. But he tells Otto, he lets him know,
I will sit the throne today.
I will sit the throne today.
Your Grace.
That's right. Get the fuck out of here, Otto. It's my seat. Get out. Get the fuck out. And he's trying. He's trying to climb those stairs. But it's a struggle. It's a legit struggle. It's hard for him to do it. Okay? And, you know, like walking down and walking here has been something. But walking up those steps, it's also, to me, symbolic. Viserys, it's not just him. It's hard to be the ruler. It's hard to be the ruler of this kingdom, especially of the seven kingdoms. And it just goes to show, like, to me, it's not just his own health, but it's hard to ascend those steps. Okay, it's hard to ascend those steps. So he starts trying to climb up the steps. He's trying to climb up the steps, and I just fuck that. I want y'all to hear the music. He's trying to get up there, right? And he drops his crown. And mind you, everybody he knows. I also want to talk about this. He has been bedridden for years. It's an image thing too. You know, for people to see the king, for as weak and as broken as he is, it's not the most morale lifting thing, right? They've tried to keep him hidden because they want to project that the king can still rule, but that he's doing it through the high towers, right? But for him to be willing to show the people, the lords that are around him, how far he has fallen, and to put this much of himself out there, all because his daughter needed him at this point, dude, fucking King Viserys is the fucking man. And he drops his crown. And right now he's thinking, how the fuck am I going to pick this thing up, right? And this right here, he is,
I said I'm fine.
and for Daemon to come help up his brother, right? Yeah. For Daemon to come help his brother, to come pick up the crown, when years ago, at Laena's funeral, Viserys went to him and Daemon rejected the olive branch. But this time it was Daemon who went to his brother. And it's always been clear that Daemon loved his brother. It's always been clear. He may have thought him weak, too eager to please, but he never wished ill on Viserys. It's why Viserys laughed when they thought that Daemon might want to remove him from the throne forcibly. Like he never was going to do that. And at that moment, I think there was no one that Viserys would have accepted help from. Not even from Rhaenyra, because he's like, I'm here for you. I don't think he would have accepted help. But to accept it from Daemon, to help him up in the throne, it's a mending of the bridge that was burnt, rather. And he helps him on the throne. And this is just such a great fucking shot right here. Coming up. This is such an amazing shot right here. I have to give praise to not just the writers, but just the camera people, everything. Like this scene right here where you're going to see Daemon putting the crown on his brother's head. I couldn't think of a better gesture of love, of acceptance, of mending bridges than this scene right here. Of all the buildup and the payoff. Like, this is such a touching scene. To see him have helped his brother up in his worst moment and to put back the crown, like, you're the king. Not these fucking high towers. You're the king. It's, to me, I think it's fucking great. And, you know, like, King Viserys, he doesn't fucking skip a beat. Like Rhaenyra's like, oh shit, it's about to go down. Like, he doesn't skip a beat, right? When he gets comfy, he starts looking around. And there's no milk of the poppy muddling his mind, okay? There's none of that. He's not in a fugue state. He's like, I must admit my confusion. I
do not understand.
He's like, I don't understand why the fuck I'm here. Why did I have to get out of bed? Why am I being called to get out of bed? because he's like, I don't understand why petitions are being heard
over settled succession.
Is like, that's it. And that's a dig. And they show Alicent here, because that's not just a dig at Vaemond and Otto, but at Alicent. Because he's like telling him, like, why are you guys trying to undo matters that I deemed settled ages ago? Ages ago. And more so, he has a point here where he says the only person who could offer more clarity into Lord Corlys's wishes would be his wife, Princess Rhaenys.
Is the Princess Rhaenys?
The Princess Rhaenys. I always butcher her name. Princess Rhaenys.
Indeed, Your Grace.
You see how she perks up right there? Indeed, Your Grace. I think that this gesture has flown over some people's heads. He's bestowing a fucking big honor on Rhaenys. She knows that the tables have turned there. She knows it. There is no chance now for Vaemond now. But instead of just Viserys just declaring, what the fuck ever, whatever, I made this decision, I'm done. Why are we doing this? He gives her the podium. He gives her the chance to stand up and talk and to influence his decision, because she knows what he's about to make. And furthermore, she throws her lot in officially with Rhaenyra. She throws in her lot officially with Rhaenyra.
Nor did my support of him.
She says, I never wavered in my support of him.
As a matter of fact, the Princess Rhaenyra has just informed me of her desire to marry her son.
To marry her son. So she's not only was she taking this opportunity to back up Luke's claim, but she was telling Rhaenyra, all right, I'm taking your offer. We're on the same side now. We're on the same side, because that was a big, big move. And this is where I state that Vaemond oversteps, and that's no longer about blood. It's no longer about blood here. It's all about ambition. It's all about ambition, because it's pride. He's been passed over too many times now. He's too all in. He's putting all his chips on this, and he knows if he backs up, it's done, right? So because he no longer can make the claim that, it's about blood. It's not, because Rhaenyra has already shot that down for him by the Princess Rhaenys taking her deal and marrying Baela to Jace, Rhaena to Luke. Yeah, even if Rhaenyra's kids are bastards, Laena's blood, the blood of Velaryon, will still go through their children, especially Baela, who's set to be queen, and Rhaena is going to rule at Driftmark. But that's not enough for him. He's livid. He thought he had this in the bag, and he confronts the king and Rhaenyra, right? And to his credit, like, he doesn't fucking play around. I love this. Like, he like, Vaemond tells him, he's like, I will not allow it.
Not allow it. Allow it. Allow it. Do not forget yourself, Vaemond.
Woo! He tells him, yo, dude, allow it? I'm the fucking king, bro. Who the fuck? Now, if this had been Joffrey, this still goes to show of Viserys's good nature. If this was other kings, like, say, Joffrey or maybe even Robert, or definitely the Mad King, they would have fucking lopped his head off. They would have tortured, the Mad King would have set him on fire alive right there. But Viserys has been shown throughout the entire season, he's not a fucking cruel man. Like, he's loved by the lords and by the small folk alike because of his good nature. And he's tried to keep peace and to keep people happy. So, like, he's not just going to be like, hey, kill this man right here. No, he's going to let him have his peace. But Vaemond's like, he's shaking with rage, dude. That was fucking good right there. He's just shaking with rage. He's having a fucking Carindriel moment, except he has reason to be mad. He has justification. I understand his rage.
That is no true Velaryon.
Ooh, and you notice I started putting the audio for this scene. I won't put it for all of it, but I had to put it for this, because This is the fucking crux of this episode. It's the core. It's the most important part. It's so fucking good. And he calls him out. He says he is no true Valerian and certainly no nephew of mine. And then Viserys is like,
no nephew of mine.
Go to your chambers. You have said enough.
it's just and Viserys, like I said, he probably hasn't sat on this throne for years, right? Let's say, I don't know, maybe the past 3-4 years. Because he probably was strong enough to still sit on. He was strong enough to sit on it from the funeral. But let's just assume he hasn't sat on it for 6 years. Let's go. Let's say he hasn't sat on it for 5 or 6 years, right? And he has lived these 5-6 years. Imagine living 24/7 with just in agony. Agony, and they're just fucking pumping you full of drugs to drown out the pain as you're losing body parts and body parts. And yet when he sits on this throne, as wizened as he is, you know, with a mask to cover up his wounds and the sort, he still cuts a regal picture. And he's like,
Viserys,
he's my trueborn
my
grandson.
grandson. And you, no more than the second son of Driftmark.
Ooh! Said, bro, you ain't shit, man. Like, you're nobody. You are nobody. And it's just like, oh my God, this scene is amazing. And it's about to hit a crescendo. It's about to hit a crescendo right now. So I'm going to have to put this scene for you guys. I'm going to have to put this scene for y'all. So eventually, I have to put it at exactly where it gets. So eventually it hits the boiling point. This whole fucking show is full of powder kegs. And Vaemond begins to lob the accusation that has been whispered about and even touched on last episode, but you know, here this is in the Grand Hall itself, and he makes the accusation of Rhaenyra's fucking kids, and he stops himself. He's about to say, but he stops himself, right? And Daemon looks at him. He's like, "Say it. Go ahead, say it. Say it so I can slap you." Like he's egging him on because Daemon's just such a shit stirrer. But he's about to say, and then here it goes.
Children are bastards!
And oh, that's enough. Now he's had enough. His rage is flowing. And even Alicent's like, God.
And she.
Oof. Now it's about to get nasty. He goes one step further. He doesn't just lob that they're bastards.
Is a whore.
Woo! And even Otto's like, God damn, man, you need to put that fire out, bro. I thought you want to be Lord of Tides, not Lord of Fire. Look at Aemon, by the way, just always grinning. This man's forever smiling. He's always smiling. But even Otto's like, he fucked up. It's over. Because Otto knew that this is a perfect opportunity for, like I said at the beginning, to drive that wedge in Rhaenyra's forces. Rhaenyra, if he can at least take House Valerian from Rhaenyra, even if it didn't discredit Luke and her own claims, even if it didn't, if he can at least take that, he's like, at least I've taken the second strongest house and we can possibly do something with this. But once Vaemond overplayed his hand, Otto knows. He goes, this opportunity is gone and burnt. And let me show my man King Viserys, woo, he gets his ass up. The rage gives him strength. Right? He doesn't even have his cane anymore. Woo!
Will have your tongue for that.
He said, I will have your tongue for that. And like, Vaemond's like, fine, I'll lose my tongue, but I finally got to say it. I got to say what the fuck I wanted to say. But you saw Viserys got up. He's like, oh, your fuck, I will personally be the one to cut out your tongue. And with his old ass self, it's going to take forever. Just going to be sawing at his tongue. But he doesn't get that opportunity. I'm going to give y'all what happens right here. Boom! Daemon just cuts his head off. Oh my God. And then he tells him he could keep his tongue. Keep his tongue. This was just, oh my God. What an incredible scene. So after Daemon has dispensed the king's justice, you know, King Viserys is the pain is too much. The pain is too much. And the queen goes to him and she's like, I want you to take some milk of the poppy. But he's like, no, dude, I'm not taking it. I want to set things right. I want to set things right. And I'm going to skip over a few of the scenes here because they have Rhaenys watching the autopsy of Vaemond, like watching the autopsy. The Silent Sisters are priming him for burial. And she's just like, she admits that she's already seen so much death that it doesn't matter anymore. Like, because they try to tell her like, hey, you know, you shouldn't see this. It's ill luck to look upon the dead. And he's like, dude, I already have so much bad luck that it can't get fucking worse. But eventually we get to the feast and, you know, Viserys is in such a point that they need to start carrying him. They carry him in his throne, which fit. What they should always be doing to the poor man. Carry him everywhere, bro. So they carry him in, and he sits at the table with everybody. And, you know, they have a little prayer. They have a toast to the children being betrothed. And I want to get to this spot right here. Okay. So this is Baela and fucking Aegon, right? Aegon's just being a fucking scumbag. Aegon's such a piece of shit. Aegon. I do. You know what's great though is this actor is killing it, right? And this show is priming you to hate this guy because he's fucking as bad as Joffrey, if not worse. He may legitimately be worse. And it's great because like they know how to build a good villain. They know how to build bad villains because that's what season 5 through 8 was full of, fucking bad villains. Because Ramsay Bolton was terrible, and so was fucking Euron Greyjoy. But here, when you have characters like Aegon who have so much power and they abuse it, that's where people just fucking lose their minds, right? And Aegon is basically mocking Jacaerys. He's telling him, he's like, do you even know how to, you know, do the deed? Do you know how, are you going to be able to satisfy your new wife? And he even goes to her and he's like, you know, if you ever need it, you ever need the pipe, let me know. Like, he's a little shit. And to Jacaerys' credit, he tells him, he doesn't lose his temper. And this is where Viserys has a speech where he talks about he's filled with sorrow. He's filled with so much happiness to see everybody that's here, and it fills him with sorrow to see everybody so unhappy because that the faces most dear to me in this world are full of just anger and bitterness. And then, dude, this is where I want to highlight that incredible makeup. Starts to take off the mask. He takes off the mask and he throws it down. And just, Rhaenyra hasn't seen the extent of what he has gone through. She hasn't seen, I mean, she's clearly obviously knows that her dad now is suffering, but she doesn't know how much he's lost, what he's lost. And we get, because he was covered with bandage and then covered with the mask, and then just pieces of his jaw and cheek gone, his eye completely gone, just complete agony here. And Patty is just, look at this acting, man. This guy like conveys the pain so well. And you can see it right there where she's realizing how much suffering her dad is going through, what he has been suffering. And it's just, he asked them, and then she looks at them like, do you guys realize that? Like, do you realize? And he goes, my face is no longer a handsome one, if it ever was. But he wants them to see him as he is.
The king. But your father, your brother, your husband, and your grandsire.
He's talking to all of them. Like, he's just like, I just want y'all to fucking stop. And anybody who has a fucking big family, or even if you have a small family, you can have a tiny family. Man, sometimes the people that you fight with the most are fucking family. In my experience, at least. Sometimes the people you argue with the most are your own fucking family members. It's so hard to get along with them, you know? And imagine, and that's in our world. Imagine in this world where people are like fucking plotting assassinations and trying to take over the realm and legitimacy over houses and stuff. It's just, you can see the heartbreak. Honestly, it to me, I know it's a physical disease, but it's almost like this, the tearing of his family apart has been killing him more than the disease. It's been killing him more than the disease. And what's kept him alive is a desire to see them all get along. To just for once have the fucking happy family. Like, you can remember what was it, 2 episodes ago, when he was watching the kids battle in the training yard, and he was so happy. He's like, this is how it should be. It should be, you know, them fighting and but helping each other up. Like, that's all he wants, and he begs them.
You may not see me. Walk.
He's so good. So good. Just, he's begging them. Like, I don't have much time left. Hours, days, weeks. He's like, dude, I barely have that. Probably maybe weeks in his head. And he's like, I don't have that.
No longer hold the feelings in our hearts. Crown stand strong.
Look at that. I have to pause it here and there. But look at that.
Right.
Look at that fucking makeup, guys. This is incredible. The people who did this, I always praise the costumes, the music, the set. I always do. I try on even in later Game of Thrones, right? But this makeup, the fucking king looks more terrifying. Hold on, I don't have it on the thing. The king looks more terrifying than the Night King ever did. Look at this, just pieces of his jaw. And it moves when he speaks. Not part of his jaw, part of his cheek, right here. And it moves when he speaks, his eye missing, just fuck.
Divided. But set aside your grievances.
Like, it's just, and you know, it's, and what I wanna say is, listen real carefully right there. Listen to that right there. The candles, like, it's set aside your grievances. Okay, right here, right? The silence. It's sometimes you could say so much with saying nothing at all, right? But he says, set aside your grievances, and then just, it's so quiet. The room is so quiet that you can hear the candles burning right here. I'm gonna shut up. You hear that?
If not for the sake of the crown, and for the sake of this old man, who loves you all so dearly.
All he wants, man. All he wants. All he's ever wanted is for them to be at peace. And it takes a little bit. Like, they're all sitting there quiet. But it actually hits Rhaenyra. It hits Rhaenyra that what her father's words are. And she raises her cup to the queen, and she says, because she sees there like her tending to him, to her dad, and this little bit of subtle storytelling right there, where she's reaching out to her dad, and just Rhaenyra off screen just sets her cane. You can't see it because I'm in the way, but she sets her cane there, right? And it's so sad. But even Rhaenyra realizes that, like, he's like, you know what? Fuck it. He's like, I'm gonna raise a cup to the queen. And she tells her, she goes, you know, we've had our disagreements. We've had our disagreements. We've had our grievances. But you have taken care of my father. You have stayed. She goes, no one has tended to my father more loyally by his side than his good wife. Like, that's a big fucking statement for her to say. She goes, you have always been by him. You've always cared for him. And she says, you earned my respect and my apology. And big. And Alicent says, you know, your words are gracious and kind. And she even says, she goes, we're both mothers who, you know, we love our kids. And maybe we, you know, we fucked up, and we're, you know, maybe we have to realize that our fucking rivalry is driving a wedge into our kids and making them fucking hate each other. And she raises a cup to her. And then like Aegon being the scumbag he is, right? Aegon being the scumbag he is, told you, he goes there to tell him, like, oh, I'm gonna lay some pipe there. And Jacaerys slams the desk, and he toasts his uncles. He goes, we haven't seen each other in years, but I have fond memories of our childhood. And that fucks Aegon up. Like, because Aegon realizes, like, shit, I can't get to him. I can't dig the barb. Because that's how you deal with a shithead like this. You let him show that this little scumbag, like, you're not bothering me, man. You're not phasing me, right? And that is enough. And he's so happy. And like, fucking his sister, Tulsa, she's like, she's not all there. But this is the scene. So he has his own way of digging it, right? He excuses himself from Rhaena. Not Rhaena, I'm sorry, from Baela. And he goes to Aegon's wife, his sister, and he's like, yo, you wanna get it down? You wanna dance? Because now the king said, let's have some music. They're playing music right now, right? And I just want to show you this scene right here. This is the scene. This is the other scene that made me fucking cry. I cried 2 times during the court. When I first watched this episode, I cried twice when he first walked in and when Daemon helped him. But this was the other scene that made me cry right here. Was him looking at his family, right? Looking at his family, and he sees Rhaenyra and Daemon getting along. He sees Otto and Alicent having a good time. The kids happy, and it's you hear the swell, that string coming in there, right? That's swelling in, and it's just, he sees his grandkids dancing and his daughter dancing with it's so much, like, he's fucking so happy. He's so fucking happy for the first time in God knows how fucking long. He's so overjoyed, and when Rhaenyra looks at him and she sees the love that the queen, because the queen may have been eventually betrothed to him, but for all of Alicent's crimes and her own fucking sins and shit, she has always tried to be dutiful to him. And I think that there is a genuine part of her that does care for him. I truly do. I truly think that Alicent does love him, and, you know, want and is saddened to see him at this point. But, you know, to see this bit right here, like, he's just so happy to see his family for once getting along. Like that, right, dude. I gotta fucking pause for a second because shit's making me fucking sad. Ooh, I'm sorry. There's gonna be a quick edit there. I had to stop it because I started ugly crying. I didn't need y'all to see me ugly crying on the video. I told you guys this whole thing hit me so in the heart. But like watching his joy, even just for like this one scene where he's and eventually he's just overwhelmed with the pain. But him being able to see the people he loves, you know, be happy. It was what a send off for him, man. And eventually, like, he does get overwhelmed by the pain. It's too much for him, so they have to, you know, take him off. But the last image that we get is him seeing his family happy together. And it's good. It's a good thing they took him out because it gets bad here. It gets bad. So they put this pig by Aemond. They put this pig by Aemond. And Lucerys is just such a little shit. He's a little shit too, though. He starts laughing because if you remember 2 episodes ago, they pranked Aemond by taking a pig when they were like, oh, we got a dragon for you because he wanted a dragon so badly. And they gave him a pig with wings. And Lucerys starts jesting at him. He like what a little shit. And then that's enough. That right there is enough to break the peace. Final tribute. He just says, he goes, to my nephews, you know, each of them handsome. Why? And even Alicent's like, don't do it, dude. We have fucking peace here. Like, we have a chance to rebuild. We have a chance to mend it. And she's like, don't fucking say it.
Come.
Strong. It's like, and then he does it to these
3 strong boys.
That's it. Like, to call them strong boys, like, it's just, yo, oh man. I personally was just so happy that Viserys, that they took his ass home. They didn't have to come see this. And it just escalates into a fight between them again. He's like, it's just a compliment. Like, that's it. He goes, don't you think you're so strong? And he like punches Aemond. He punches Aemond and Aegon goes here and just wham, just slams his face into the food. And like Jace gives him a full punch. And Aegon's like, you weak ass little punk. Like, he just fucking throws him like with no, like, he's like, get out of here, man. You ain't nothing. You are weak. And the guards step in, grab the strong boys, right? And she says, like, what are you doing? Like, and this is where I do feel bad for Alicent, because she's she's trying. They're fucking trying. She's like, why are you doing this? Like, why are my sons such shitheads? Like, it's just further, like, and I by the way, I would just want to touch on this real quick. I've heard some people talk about like that they feel like Aemon's actor looks too old or too big. Dude, let me tell you something. All right, so the actor, I believe the actor is supposed to be 20. I think the actor is 20 years old, right? When I was in fucking junior high school, I went through puberty when I was in junior high school, and I fucking shot up. I was 6'3", and I'm not saying I'm fucking a young child, but like, I generally have kept my same, like, if you look at a picture of me like a few years ago, I still look the same, or even 10 something years ago, I still look the same. Like, there are people who they fucking like don't age, or they hit their their stride early and they get big. And dude, I was 6'3" in junior high school. I was a fucking star in basketball, man. Let me tell you, I was a fucking center. I'm not athletic by any means anymore. I couldn't fucking dribble a basketball if you fucking held a gun to my head. But back then, woo, I was that center. I was getting them rebounds. What I'm saying is that people are like, why are you like he's too old? Like, no, he's fine. So anyway, like, he starts to approach the strong boys, and Daemon steps in. I want to just get right there. Daemon's like, step back, Jace. And I think Daemon's gonna have to start teaching Jace how to fight, man. He's gonna have to be like, dude, I gotta teach you how to fucking fight. Fuck learning High Valyrian. You're gonna have to learn how to fucking throw a punch. But then he looks at Aemon right here like, you want some of this? You want to go? You want to fucking do the man dance? You want to do the man dance? Because, yo, the first dance is yours. I got to remember where that fucking quote is from. That's, Raging Bull, something Bull? Mine was. Fuck, I got to look it up. But Aemon is not having any of this. He's letting him know, way of the gun. My God, where the fuck was I on? I have no idea. But way of the gun. And he's like, you want to do the man dance? First dance is yours. And even Aemon's smiling, and that smile dies on his face. He's like, oh, okay. He knows. He's like, I don't have a chance against you. That's right, bitch. Get to walking. And that's, and to Alicent's thing is, she goes, it's best, I think, if we go back to Dragonstone, right? She goes to Rhaenyra, and even and this is where, like, she reaches out and grabs her hand. She's like, don't. Let's fucking fix this. Like, you see that? That is such a sweet thing between them, where she's like, don't fucking go. Don't fucking go. You just got here. Let's fucking work this out. And Rhaenyra's like, she's like, you're right. You're fucking right. She goes, I'll take the kids home. And I'll come by Dragon, and we will work this out together. And it's you have a feeling of there's some measure of peace that could be had if the fucking kids stop fucking it up, right? Fucking kids, man. And it's not just Aegon at this point. It wasn't just Aegon. It wasn't. It was not just Aegon. It was also, you could see it was Lucerys. So it's not just always her kids, Alicent kids. It's Lucerys too being a little shit. But and Jacaerys losing his temper. But we go to this scene and we see the lady who, and I can't remember her name, and I feel bad because I think I've done a pretty good job of remembering all the characters' names, like Rhaena, Rhaenys, Rhaenyra, Viserys, Jacaerys, Lucerys, Corlys, Laena, Laenor. Like, I'm trying my best to keep up with these fucking names. I cannot remember her because she doesn't show up too often. But that was, this was Daemon's former mistress, right? The one that he took for his queen, and she has her own network of spies now. She is like the whisper, the spy master in King's Landing, and what she's got her spies everywhere and in the most crucial of places, because that's the queen's handmaid right there. That's the queen's handmaid. So she's learning everything. What's happening at the dinners, what's happening at court, what's happening on the small counts, all these fucking things, all these secrets she holds. Now, I don't know, what part is she going to play? Is she still loyal to Daemon? Does she care about Daemon? Is she going to be loyal to Daemon? Is she going to help him? Because right now the queen has, God, is his name? This is another name because these are characters I don't see as much. I think it's Sir Larys Strong. I think his name is Larys Strong, the youngest son who killed his father and his brother so that he can become Lord Strong and so that he can get Otto back as the new hand. Like Queen Alicent has that motherfucker, Clubfoot. That's I know him by his nickname. She has him. So they need Daemon and them need their own fucking infiltrate secret team. But we go here and Alicent is giving the king milk of the poppy, helping him. And he accidentally confuses her for Rhaenyra because he's just so much pain and he's drinking milk of the poppy and it's clouding his mind again. And Rhaenyra had asked him earlier when she was begging him for help if he still believed in Aegon's dream about the Song of Ice and Fire. Now, I get that they are trying to put this as like a plot line, right? But I really wish that I really wish they would stop referencing like the prince that was promised and all that shit. Because it just reminds me of season 8 Game of Thrones. And let me tell you, this show is amazing enough that I can recommend the show. I can recommend the show as bad as those later seasons were. That even when they reference that, it's like my brain is like, oh, it's bad. But I'm also like, dude, but this show's so fucking good. So they like balance each other. But I wish they would stop referencing the bad show because you have a great show. You already have a good show here. You don't need to reference that piece of shit. Okay, stop referencing it, please. I beg of you. But we eventually have her accident. He mistakenly thinks that he's talking to Rhaenyra, and he's talking about how Aegon's dream, Aegon, like his son, and she thinks that he's talking to his dream. She thinks that he's talking about their kid. So she gets up. She thinks that her husband is saying that Aegon needs to sit the throne. She has a unfortunate case of mistaken, not identity, but anyway, this is the final real scene of this episode, and it's so. And he passes. And King Viserys, his last words are, "My love," and he goes back to Aemma, the Aemma Targaryen, who even after however many years it's been, what, 18, 20 years? 20 years, he is still loved her. Still loved his first wife, and he is finally reunited with her. And it's just that's it, and that's how it ends, my love. And that is the end of episode 8, The Lord of the Tides. And it's just what a fucking incredible show. For fuck's sake, man, incredible episode. This is some of the finest acting I've seen since Better Call Saul. Like, this year has been a phenomenal year for TV shows. It's been a terrible been a terrible year also because we have garbage like She-Hulk and Rings of Power. But there have been some fucking amazing shows out there, like Better Call Saul and House of the Dragon, where you get to see just actors putting their craft and showing you why we love these kind of stories being told, because they stir in you emotions. Like, dude, I've watched that scene of King Viserys walking forward and getting into the throne room, and I've cried several times. I cried earlier watching that. Okay, I cried earlier watching that, and then I had to stop because with the other scene where he was watching his family and he was so happy and so content, and I'm like, man, I'm so, like, I cried again. Like, dude, this is why we love these stories. They stir these feelings in us. They make you think back of your own memories, and it's just, I cannot attest that I can't think of something stronger right now on television. Like, this is just what a fucking incredible actor. The acting from all, they're all great, but Patty, like, Jesus Christ, like, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, George Martin even has said how Patty actually improved the character of King Viserys far better, that it's an improvement than what he had written in the books. When the author is telling you that, you know you're fucking doing it right. Holy shit, man. And this is clearly the end of King Viserys. Where do we go from here? Right? You know, Rhaenyra is now should technically be queen of the Seven Kingdoms, the first queen of the Seven Kingdoms. But Alicent will probably not let this fight go now. And she is going to do her best to put her own child up there. And it's just, this is where we have gotten, this is where we're going to finally get this civil war, this dance of the dragons that happens. And this just goes to show another thing I want to say. It just goes to show how you don't need action. I say this constantly. You don't need fucking action to tell a good story. Don't. You really don't. There's been very few action scenes here, and they use them sparingly, and that's fine. Because when you have a king, a father walking into a throne room after years of being bedridden just because he knows this is the only way he can help and save his daughter, him limping across the Great Hall was more heroic, more epic than 1,000 Numenorian charges to save some village in the Southlands. Rings of Power does not and will never, if they continue the rate they're going, will never be able to evoke the same emotion, the same feeling, that, and the same fucking just good acting, the way that this show has, the way that this single episode, The Lord of Tides, is more powerful than all of Rings of Power as their entire season combined. They have never and never will, if they continue with their shitty writing, be able to muster even 1% of the quality here. I cannot recommend this enough. This is easily my favorite episode. I love fucking King Viserys. I actually am talking with my friends because we are going to be doing a House of the Dragon cosplay, and I will be doing this version of King Viserys. Episode 8, King Viserys. We're going to get the makeup and all that stuff. I'm going to wear the golden mask though, because I'm not gouging out one of my eyes. I'm committed to cosplay. Not that fucking committed, but and I'm excited because I love this fucking guy, man. This character he's way better than he was in the book. Way better. And it's just, man, it's a shame to see him gone. It just goes to show also how they're willing to sacrifice characters for the sake of the story. Obviously, these characters pass in the book, and or rather, what I should say is, like, they've done time jumps, right? And it all has flowed so well. And it's like, hey, if we need to change actors, we need to change actors. That's what they should do. That's what you're supposed to do, right? That's part of the problem with fucking Rings of Power is they're compressing thousands of years into fucking 1 year, whatever the fuck span this story is taking place, because we don't even know. You don't know. You've got ships fucking teleporting left and right in what should take months of travel in a day. But they did. That was one of the reasons why they did that, because they're like, oh, we don't want to keep changing the actors because we don't want to confuse our audience. Your audience shouldn't be fucking idiots. Stop treating your audience like idiots. Stop using that as your excuse. Also, clearly, this story that's being told in House of the Dragon, they were like, look, we need people that will pass away in the first episode. We need people who will die in this other episode. We need people who will, be aged out, and then we're going to age out other people in it. That's fine. Because as long as your story is being consistent, coherent, people will be able to catch up. They'll be able to keep up. And I cannot sing this show's praises enough. I can't. Like, oh my God. Let me tell you, this scene of fucking King Viserys on the fucking throne, when he's up there and he's just like, I'm ready to fucking rule. Let's go. This shot right here, my man was ready. He's like, I gotta admit my confusion. I cannot stress enough how this is. I don't care what else happens in the rest of the episode, in the rest of the season, unless he comes back to life. And I'm like, yeah. But, which obviously, no, he's not. It's a joke. But I don't care if there's the fucking greatest battle scene of all time. This is my favorite episode. This is a masterpiece to me. This is perfection in storytelling. It's perfection because it's just perfection, not in storytelling and in acting. And when you act, you're trying to evoke something from your audience. And I'm telling y'all, I had to stop the video partially because I was just fucking sobbing. So I'm loving this. Watch the goddamn episode. Please watch it. Anyway, this has been the NYC Geek. And if you enjoyed this content, please, please, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Hit it right now. Hit it the way this episode hit me in the feels, because I'm still recovering from it. And also, while you're at it, please consider hitting that like, that share button, that freaking bell so you can know when another video goes live. Leave a comment down below. I love to engage and chat with all of you, and I do respond to every single comment. I really do. Or at least I try my absolute best. I'm like batting like 90% or something like that. And if you haven't already, please make sure to follow me over on twitch.tv/TheNYCGeek, where I do my best to stream regularly on Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, as well as follow me on that filthy cesspool that is Twitter. It's going to get nasty soon. It's going to get nasty soon because the next few days is when the shits come out. When we get shit number 1 with She-Hulk and shit number 2 with fucking Rings of Power. But at least Rings of Power is ending soon and we still have this show going. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Did it hit you the way it hit me? Did it hit you the same way? Like, what did I miss? What pulled you most at this episode? Like, tell me, talk to me. Let me know. And please, 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 I always want to remind you all, your time is precious. It's important. Okay? And I thank you for sharing it with me. I truly do, especially on this video, which is going to be over an hour long easily. It's going to be over an hour long. So please, if you guys have watched it all the way through, thank you for watching it with me. Stay safe. Take care of each other. And I will see you guys next time.